Hello, my name is Ivan Moreno, and today I will be presenting my big idea for Entrepreneurship 3613, which in my case is a better loan servicer for student loan borrowers. So I'd like to begin by going through my personal story a little bit. So I was born in Bogota, Colombia, and have been in the U.S. for about 6 years. I was fortunate enough to do my high school here and go through the whole process of college admissions and everything. What I really found difficulty with was navigating the financial aid part of the process because there's very few resources, both at a high school and at a college level, to really provide financial literacy to students. And I found it very difficult, because I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I didn't really understood very well the types of loans, and I thought that was an issue that needed to be addressed, on par with just the large amounts of student loans that are constantly being disbursed in the U.S. every new academic year. So, just to kind of explain why I think this is a worrying issue, I provided a graph here which shows the total U.S. student loan debt from 2006 through 2020. You can see that it has grown almost three times, right, from about 500 million to 1.6 trillion in 2020. So I'd really like to go over the problem a little more in depth to understand more why I believe this is very important and why it should be addressed. So there's no doubt that there is a student loan crisis in the U.S. In the previous slide, you guys were able to see how U.S. Student loan debt grew three times over the last 14 years, which is an absurd number. And I think a lot of this is just because of the lack of financial literacy. As I mentioned before, there's very little resources for students who are borrowing to pay for their education, you know? And it really just depends on them. And many times they don't even know where to find those resources. Um, there's a lack for a centralized resource where every student can really go and find a website or book or something where they can really see and understand what student loans are all about, how they work, how you pay them, how you don't. And that is I think much needed. And then the lack of financial advice. It's really hard to find a financial advisor without paying a good amount of money. And I think that's a service that should be provided to students because it will, one, provide financial literacy, and two, help them really understand what they're getting into. So let's go through the competitors a little bit. So currently, there's only four government contracted loan servicers, and there's a lot of issues with them. A lot of them are really just legislative issues that have been happening with Congress, but a lot of them are on their side as well. The biggest issue, in my opinion, is just their lack of customer service and consumer friendly elements. These websites are bare bones in many ways. We only see how much we owe, how we can pay them, and that's really it. There's very little resources for students who are looking for more information on their loan specifically. Things like, do they qualify for a public service loan forgiveness, or many other repayment plans that you really don't know. You have to navigate yourself. There's also really long wait times when you try to contact their customer service representatives, which I think is an issue. And there have been multiple complaints to the FCC on really just their lack of customer service because many times they just don't have the resources to help you. So I do believe that things like that really need to be addressed, and my loan servicer, or my idea of a loan servicer, will address those issues. Um, you know, it's going to be important to highlight whether they're eligible for some sort of forgiveness or what payment plans they can have, how we can go through that payment plan. It's important to really walk people through repayment and even getting a loan many times to provide that financial literacy that we're aiming to provide. So that's really mostly the issue. So now I'd really like to go through what the customer would look like for our loan servicer, and it really is just very broad, right? Anyone who really qualifies for federal student aid can be our customer. So all races, all ages, mostly median income Americans will look for student loans, medium to low income, of course. It is important to highlight that white Caucasian Americans have the most debt, which in general would make them most affected. But American Indians and Native Americans have the largest payments, so that means they have the bigger loans. So they would be mostly our customers, right? We would also be looking at people who are frustrated with their student loan borrowers or their student loan servicers. Um, it's all important to really figure out who our target audience is, and it's so broad that In reality, what we're looking for is to provide a better service than the competition, and I think in theory we are. Okay, well, now I'd like to talk about the product itself, our solution story. So, what we're aiming to do here is really just provide a better loan servicer for student loan borrowers. And what we're really aiming is to build on the flaws and the issues with our competition, right? So, if you look at the picture right now, what it's depicting is a computer and a website, and that would be our home website. So, you just have a regular login and password, welcome message. And there's a few tabs up here, which I think are the most important part of the website. So, in the About Us tab, we really explain who we are, what we're doing. The Understand tab, I think, is one of the more important ones because it will provide student loan borrowers with informations on, all of their loans, what type of loans they are, um, how much interest, and where to find that information specifically within our platform. Their possible ways of repayment and other opportunities for forgiveness. We'll also provide a scholarship tab, which I think it's important if you can find any sort of centralized resource where there's a database for scholarships that's just accessible to you for being one of our customers. I think you can definitely use it to try and reduce your debt as much as you can. The next tab would be advisors. So ideally, we'd like to get some financial advisors on board who some of our borrowers could connect to one-on-one. I understand that there would be a difficulty for every single borrower, but I think borrowers who are at risk of defaulting or stuff like that should really be able to plan with a professional, so we can really just prevent them from going under because of a student loan. And then the final thing is really our mission statement, which is simple, right? We just want to provide a better service. So now I'd really just like to summarize everything and kind of go through why I think this is a good solution, why I think it works. So overall, what we're aiming to do here is it's really not to solve the student loan crisis. To achieve that, we would need a lot of legislative action, and we know how that goes. I think ideally, what we really, really want to do here is kind of kickstart momentum to get to a solution. And I think it's really easy to do that by just providing better customer service, educating our um, student borrowers more, and providing them with financial planning as well. Those services will all, in the long run, provide, ultimately a better educated individual when it comes to making these decisions. And I think it should start, from high school and on, that financial literacy. Um, but it's also important to make our customers feel like we're helping them instead of harming them. I think there's just a negative connotation with student loans always and student loan servicers. And I think ideally what we're aiming to do is change that to provide better service and really just help people out navigate this very confusing system. Hey guys, so I just wanted to thank you so much for watching my video, and I really hope that you either learned something new or understood something better, or really just became aware of the gravity of the issues at hand here. So for me, the bigger picture here is solving that student loan crisis. And to solve that, I think, first of all, we definitely need to provide better service to those who are borrowers, which is my solution. But I also think that, we need to start pushing for just better education overall, right? I think our education systems are failing us when it comes to stuff like this. I think that we should push for curriculums that teach financial literacy in high school. I think that we should push for curriculums in college that also teach financial literacy. There are many decisions that could really make or break your life, and a lot of them are financial. So if we can provide people with that education, I don't know why we're not doing it. Another issue is this is going to take a lot of legislative action to fix. $1.5 trillion is not an amount of money that we can just blow away. But if we make our legislators aware of the issue and how much it worries their communities, so how much it worries us, then I think we can spark some more momentum. So I think this is all about momentum, and I think having the ideas on how to fix the issues are the most important parts. So fixing schools, better loan servicers, and calling your congressman or emailing them or talking to your legislators in general when you can to really explain to them the gravity of the issue will also help build momentum. So above all, I again want to thank you, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.